Today, April 25th, is the feast of St. Mark the Evangelist. St. Mark, although not one of the apostles, likely knew Jesus. He was the cousin of St. Barnabas, and he traveled with Barnabas and Paul on their first missionary journey, but he left them shortly thereafter to return to Jerusalem. When Barnabas wanted Mark to join him and Paul on the second missionary journey, but Paul would not hear of it because how Mark had let them down on the previous journey. Paul and Barnabas ended up going on separate apostolic missions at that time. Paul does years later request to Timothy to get Mark and bring him with you, for he is a great help to me. About 10 years later, Mark is with St. Peter, acting as his interpreter, and he becomes known as St. Peter's co-worker. According to St. Jerome, St. Mark's gospel account is based on St. Peter's preaching and his most intimate recollections of Jesus. St. Peter is believed to have approved Mark's version to be read in church, and St. Mark later becomes Bishop of Alexandria. In the gospel chosen for this feast, Mark recounts Jesus' command to the 11, "Go into the whole world and proclaim the gospel to every creature. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved. Whoever does not believe will be condemned. These signs will accompany those who believe. In my name they will drive out demons. They will speak new languages. They will pick up serpents with their hands. And if they drink anything deadly, it will not harm them. They will lay hands on the sick, and they will recover." St. Mark was faithful to this command. His principal mission in life was to transmit Peter's teachings faithfully. And his mission was certainly not easy, as we can see from him being a martyr, being killed for his faith. In his reflection book series titled In Conversation with God, Father Francis Fernandez focuses on St. Mark as a model in spite of weakness and imperfection. He reminds us that Paul's dismissal of St. Mark, which loomed large at the time, is later forgotten. He says, "It is indeed a great example of how we should never write people off conclusively, and a wonderful lesson, should we ever need one, on how to reconstruct a friendship that appears to have been ruined forever." Father Fernandez poses the following thought: if in the face of his first reverse, Mark had not reacted humbly and energetically, perhaps we would now not have the treasure of Jesus' words and deeds on which we have so often meditated. We, like Mark, have heard the good news, and like him, we know that Jesus expects us to share it. But we may find it difficult to do so. We worry over saying the wrong thing, the fear of sounding pushy, or just the busy pace of life can block us from taking up our calling. Maybe we can take some inspiration from St. Mark. In this time now of slowed down life, this life on pause, we have the opportunity to stop for a moment, to look around, and to see if there's someone who could use a word of encouragement. Let us be encouraged by the example of St. Mark and offer a word of encouragement to others today.